we're getting through it. Some amazing projects like yourself are coming on board, so we're happy to have you here.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, no, happy to be here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen.
Absolutely.
And I have a little walkthrough I want to give.
For sure.
Give me 1 second just to make sure it's set up. Okay, let me know if you can see this playing. Can you see the video playing?
Yeah, it's like a bunch, looks like some NFTs.
Looks like a marketplace, zooming in on a robot right now. Cool. Yep. So that's awesome. So, I mean, I definitely want to start by introducing myself and who I am, and then kind of take you through an overall of what Terra Virtua is for those that might not know about us. So my name is Jeff Holmberg. I run strategy at Terra Virtua. My background consists of coming from, people are going to hate this, but I'm a traditional Wall Street guy. I came from Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch. I made my move in the space about 4 years ago. I've worked with a lot of smaller projects. I eventually found my way running partnerships at OpenSea. And then from that position, I had joined the team at Terra Virtua, just an absolute wonderful management team on this squad. So I could speak for ages on them and go through it, but let's just jump into the platform and tell you a little about us. So what we are is we are an immersive collectibles platform that really focuses on showcasing and viewability. And I see, you know, and I'm sure on this show as well, you have a lot of projects showing about functionality, about buying something. And I think the problem that we want to solve is what comes next when it comes to collectibles. And this could be art collectibles, this could be gaming items, this could be gaming skins. So one thing that I'm going to talk through, I'm going to try and maintain pace with the video that we have here, is we have established something that we call fan caves. Now, we do have 3 of them. One is a traditional fan cave that you're looking at right now, or 3 seconds ago, which has a very collector's feel type room. The second that we have is something called a Terra Dome, which is a much larger universe, which you will see soon and here for tanks, ships, planes, large size cars, vehicles. And the last thing is actually our Terra Art Gallery, which is pretty new. We've launched that, I want to say, just about 2 months ago, or working up to about 2 months now. And this is the Terra Dome. Sorry to keep jumping back and forth. I want you users to see this. So this is the large dome for the ships, animals, cars, tanks that I was just talking about. Well, let's go back to the gallery. So when eventually you see on the video, the gallery gives it a very traditional, you know, museum of modern art type feel, marble floors, correct lighting for these paintings, which you can see now as we walk through this. This is a little bit different from what we've seen in Decentraland or Crypto Voxels. This is more the 3D VR element that we're going after for people to view these collectibles in 3D VR and AR, which I will get into. And so you can view these in using a headset. It is not required, but if you wish to join your caves, which you can download for free on our platform, you can do that if you wish. One of the coolest things, the bonus that we have is we do have a mobile app that is out on the Android platform, which allows you to view all of your collectibles in augmented reality. This will come up in the video sometime soon, but you'll see there is a woman that's crouching down from a larger figurine. People love this. When we're referring to artists, they love it because people can unbox their art and put it in their living room wall or their kitchen and take pictures and videos of it and give it some real life usability. Now, to answer maybe perhaps some questions up front, our collectibles are ERC 721 right now. I don't know if this question will come up. We will be exploring other options for collectibles such as ERC 1155 later in time. So I wanted to get that question out of the way. But we felt that the 721 collectibles are more the popular, the standardized ones that people are using today. So when it comes to showcasing, we've noticed that collectibles, artwork, figurines, they shouldn't be viewed in a trust wallet or on an OpenSea just as a thumbnail. So we thought, what could we do to help people show off their collectibles, view them the way they're meant to be viewed, either on a shelf, on a wall if it's art, or you know, an AR if you want to use them and have fun with it. So we've created this platform in hopes to make it fun for people to interact with their collectibles, as well as we have a ton of social elements that we're building into the platform such as profiles, walls, videos, the ability to upload pictures and videos. I don't want to throw the Facebook word in there, but it's going to be a social environment like that where it's all, no pun intended, centralized around the use of all of your decentralized collectibles. So yeah, so that's kind of a big overhaul. We do have our utility token TVK, which is coming out very soon. For people that are interested in learning more about us, if I'm just flying through this because there's a lot of information, jump in our Discord, follow us on Twitter, stay in touch. Having a lot of community feedback, community insights is massive for us. A lot of these features that you're seeing, design type of structure, a lot of it has been based, I want to say evenly on community feedback and by our wonderful dev tech team, which are just absolutely incredible. Those guys are on all cylinders, so I got to give them a shout out here. But stay in touch with us, get involved, learn a little bit more, and explore. And that's what we want. We want people to explore our marketplace. We want people to explore building and customizing their fan caves. One thing that I want to say is the collectibles you're seeing. I'll give some definitions to what you're looking at. So we do have partnerships right now with Legendary Films, Paramount Pictures, Netflix's Lost in Space. We've already announced that we have Pacific Rim collectibles coming out very, very soon this month. And amongst a bunch of other amazing IP, we have a lot of artists that are interested in coming on board. One who I am absolutely infatuated is Nick Percival, who has worked with Judge Dredd and Hellraiser. So we actually just released a Raise Hell collection today on our platform. So if you want to get some custom collectibles from Nick Percival, who's behind Judge Dredd and Hellraiser, I would highly anticipate that you'd want to go check those out now before they sell out. But as we explore, stronger IP or equally as strong IP as what we have now, we're really looking to the future of trying to bridge the gap in between how to bring more traditional users and collectors over into the blockchain ecosystem. So I know that was a mouthful, but I wanted to leave a lot of room for questions from you guys and questions from the community to hone in on this.
Man, I mean, this is, well, sometimes the presentation speaks louder. I'm not sure where to even begin, because that's absolutely amazing, because some of the conversations that we have between David and I and with other investors and people, there's this, this narrative, and it's been going on for a very long time, ever since CryptoKitties, is, NFTs are saturated. And my response is always, how long did it take for Pokemon or Magic the Gathering cards, or now Yu-Gi-Oh, to become super valuable? Right now, you see people are selling these first edition boxes for like $3,000 or $4,000, $15,000, opening them. Gary V really opened the door for all of that.
He sure did. Gary
absolutely, we got to give him credit where credit's due. He just blew Pokemon like right out the gate, and everyone was like, "All right, we're piling on this trend." And I was a big Magic the Gathering player myself. I played back all the way in Portal Starter Edition. I used to own fetch lands that I'm probably kicking myself in the ass for, that I can't find now, because they're probably
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's all about value, right? But the thing is that there is an agreement, I think, that there's a level of saturation in NFTs because of the usage right now. The main use case up until now for NFTs has been, come buy our tokens, farm a bunch of it, stake it, and then and then buy NFTs from us. That is already saturated in an artwork. Like, art is perceived value, and I think right now a lot of art, just like the real world, has association with some sort of name or brand. You're talking about some of these artists who are going to come on board. I liked what Blue Kirby was doing before he left this whole thing about like this physical auction house, and I was a big supporter of Rope. I actually have one of their I just love the branding on Rope, don't buy Rope, that whole thing. I have a hoodie somewhere in the house that I bought from them.
Right. Same with me. We've seen that, we've seen a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of cool things that are coming out. And I think for us, like you said, there are similar patterns. We will have a program called Prestige, which will involve staking, but we feel that we've solved a lot of that. Well, I shouldn't say solved. We're not the ones pioneers of staking and DeFi farming, right? But I think what we're doing is trying to figure out these loopholes of what it just seems to be very cyclical of what people are getting tired of, and how can we make it more engaging and make it more rewarding for them. But going back to
it's very unique. Yeah, this is a very unique proposition. You're splicing in virtual reality and just this really cool stuff. I have tons of questions. For example, are you guys going to have some sort of optimization with Oculus or anything like that?
Yeah, so that's something that Jawad, our CTO, is working on right now. Obviously, you have to get approved on their platform. You know, we are specifically looking to do that with our art gallery right now. But we are absolutely in conversations with the main VR headset providers. Absolutely. I mean, it's no question.
Has to be.
You can actually use VR. Yeah, you can actually use VR right now for the fan caves. So, and I do want to mention, as an aside to people, for those wondering how to get these or do I have to pay for them? The answer is no. All you need to do is just go over to terra.virtua.io, sign up for an account. Everything that you see here from, besides the collectibles, but the fan cave, the art gallery in a Terra Dome, they are free. So you do have access to them. Sorry to go off topic, Matt, but I want to just get this out, considering you're asking me about that. So the cool thing about this is we do have a bunch of IP that I mentioned. We have aggressively announced this over the past few months that we started as a wall garden, and we are updating our blockchain contracts to allow full ERC 721 interoperability, which is coming, you know, early next year. I want to say somewhere around early February. I don't want to give a hard date for that because, as you know, with tech, there could be, you know, a 2 or 3 week swing each way. But early first quarter 2021, we're opening it up to the entire ecosystem. So I would get used to this platform, you know, get into these caves, learn about customization, have some fun with it. There's a bunch of cheap items on our platform that you can play around with to get started. We did that on purpose just to get people involved, right? You know, we're not trying to be a money grab here. We actually want people to enjoy this. And so I would suggest people to get going on that. And then as we give more news about interoperability, I say this word 100 times a day, you know, being active, then we'll explore how we're going to carry other people's older collectibles, artworks, figurines, etc., into the platform. So
yeah, it's
going to be fun.
It's pretty crazy, these customized fan caves. I'd be very interested to see. You know, one thing that brings me to mind, and this is much bigger than it, but is Second Life, right? Second Life was a really big virtuous, and I do have questions, obviously, about maybe the scalability, because it's a lot of resources. I see the videos a little, I'm not sure if it's just the Zoom, but
it's probably the Zoom. If you're looking at the quality, I can assure you, you know, we have had large collectors purchase some of our items and zoom in on them 100-fold, and have written us and said, you know what, I got to be honest, I was skeptical about the quality at first, but I zoomed in and it's pristine. That's one thing that we make sure that we do with all of our collectibles. We make sure that the quality is utterly pristine. And I'm glad you mentioned that. If you're looking at it and it's kind of fuzzy, that's absolutely just a Zoom video, you know, breaking down the screen share that I'm doing right now.
Gotcha.
If you check it on the platform, click an item, you can, you know, turn it around, view it in 360, zoom in. We encourage people, you know, if you want to test us, zoom in, check out the collectibles. We are very proud of the work that we do with our attention to detail.
Can I create my own fan cave from the ground up?
So that is something that we're exploring. Right now, we have more of a standardized fan cave with designs in it. However, you know, you can customize the pictures, the figurines, how you want. We can use even this art gallery that's playing as an example right now, you know, like the floor, the colors of the walls, the lighting. This is just to get people going. We are going to have a ton of customization options in the near-term future. So I want to answer yes to that question. However, I would want to say yes with a disclaimer in the near future, yes.
Gotcha. Nice. Hey, sorry for coming in late, by the way, guys, but yeah,
no problem,
I was on other calls. But Jeff, I mean, from what I've seen, it looks pretty amazing. One thing that came to mind straight away was a project that I was pretty kind of fascinated with probably a couple of years back was Decentraland. You know, I don't know if you know too much about that, but I mean, they were kind of, for me, one of the first kind of early, if you like, kind of entrance into, you know, virtual reality, even to a point where they did that huge kind of like, you buying the land and then building on it. And I mean, that was for me kind of like the first iteration that I was aware of into kind of virtual reality, and kind of really, I guess, creating something that was not new, but was certainly newish to the crypto space. I mean, is that something you have in mind? Because going on from what Matt was saying in terms of the future will give people the ability to kind of create their own kind of ecosystem within your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of our goals, we've had a lot of questions lately, trying to say, hey, you can even consider Decentraland a competitor. The answer to that is no. We've seen the growth of these virtual lands, especially with Somnium Space exploding onto the scene. Crypto voxels is really in its own niche as a, a custom builder as well. So, for us, like I mentioned before in my super fast track speech on this, it's going to really depend on what the community wants. We want to make this a very large social environment, whether that means inclusive of, and I don't want to give away too many secrets, but perhaps there might be something coming where you guys can have a meetup with friends in your own fan caves. If I want to say, Matthew, David, come look at my collection, come step into my fan cave, or let's walk around my art gallery together.
Feel free to give us as many
no. So I think
I'm big on that.
I think right now we are watching the market very closely. And I think when we look at virtual spaces and anything that's happening in 3D, VR environments, things are moving extremely fast, and you want to keep pace with it. But we also want to make sure that we're building something that makes the community happy. So we don't want to just force feed like, hey, yes, you can visit people and walk around each other's art galleries, but that's it, right? So I think right now, we're working on a strategy. Obviously, that's part of my role to work closely with tech and Jawad in particular on this. But we have so much coming to the platform to help make it a social environment that's on the agenda in the next quarter or so, that anything beyond that, we're going to start exploring some really wild and fun options like that and seeing what the community would want. What do people really want? What's a collector's point of view? Do I want it private just for myself? Do I want to be able to show it off to the whole world and invite anyone to walk through my collectibles or my fan caves without me actually being there, either physically or in a VR element? So these are the options that are on the table now that we are planning and discussing and figuring out what would be the best. And of course, customizing is the biggest thing. We don't want to make sure that we're force feeding a product down a collector's throat. We want it to be, very open, where the people they're essentially, this is a living place for collectibles, right? And this is the real viewership that a collector feels. So if you look at those in the physical world that collect sneakers or art, how are they designing it in their houses? Are they putting a Monet in their bathroom? I don't think so, right? Unless you're a billionaire, maybe. But our sneaker collections, are they being held in closets? So if we work with all these different tight options, however, and open them up to what collectors really want, that's what we're paying attention to, and that's what we're going to build.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm the same with Matt. I mean, I got a bunch of questions, but I mean, if you look at just like the ecosystem, I mean, look at the world right now. We're going through this COVID kind of pandemic where literally people are starting to reshape the way we interact. Being more remote. I think if you go back even 10 years ago, people were, TV is an escapism, right? Going to the movies is escapism, theater, going to an art gallery. All of these things are really about taking us away from kind of the reality, sometimes the grind. And I think now we're in this kind of like whatever post-COVID, what even look like, we're not even there yet. But, cinemas are going to pretty much be gone. I mean, they're pretty much dead now, but people are still going to want that entertainment. I think they're still going to want that escapism. And for me, there is limitless. I mean, literally, there's limitless potential here. And I mean, I agree with what Matt was saying. We've discussed this ourselves, in other formats, but people are still going to want to communicate. They're still going to want to have these experiences of like, showing off in front of their friends or whatever, or being in an environment where they're getting that escapism, that new
attention is king
experience, whatever it might
absolutely.
be. So,
attention is king. We've seen that from TikTok now. We're seeing it from Instagram. And I think there's a common pattern here. Why are Facebook pages or even individual Facebook profiles so big, maxing out 5,000 friends? There's a big thirst for attention and showing off and having it to be visual now, right? You know, I think way back when, you know, I don't know, depending on what country you live in, but, you know, MySpace was really first to explode on this scene. And having a social environment that was based around photos, videos, interactions between community, meeting different people, strangers on the internet isn't such a weird thing nowadays, right? But in the early 90s, it was. So I think, it's really about, we have a joke in some other podcasts that we've done. We call it flexing your ego, you know, show off with pride in a positive way, right? And, you know, there's pride and money that's spent on these things. People have spent 6 figures. I know collectors that have spent well into 7 figures on this, and they want to be able to showcase this. There's a sense of pride here that we are trying to fill that void on how others are viewing it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, these are products that I look like when I speak with people about brand ambassadorship, just real tangible products that are just amazing. I mean, the quality and lifelike, even to the detail of the outside light coming into the room, and or engaging with the real life augmentation. You know, Pokemon Go made this really big as well. I'm looking at your looks like your Instagram page of some sort.
I think
our dev team is just utterly fantastic. I have to keep shouting them out because they deal with so many requests internally from the team. We bounce so many ideas off each other, and then we have the community coming in and bouncing even more ideas. And the way they're just funneling that down into a really good product here is just outstanding. And I've been around the block in this industry, and I can tell you that we are on the right path to having a very large explosion once interoperability comes.
No, definitely. I mean, even like Matt, I could also imagine, you know, the whole anime thing's been huge, you know, even in the last 10, 15 years, right? Where, you know, that's almost as popular as the kind of real kind of movie type or entertainment. And, you know, in the age of technology where, you know, we could almost see like rooms being kind of digital like screens where, you know, you could almost be, you know, enveloped in like this environment in your own home, you know, because, you know, once upon a time, I like 10, 15 years ago, you're paying like 5 to 10 grand for a TV. Now, you know, you can get 80-inch, 100-inch screens for, you know, kind of sensible money. So you could easily see, you know, next 5, 10 years, people just literally experiencing this stuff in their own homes in a completely
agreed.
Environment.
How many people can I have in one room? Let's say I created a museum, right? That museum that you had. Let's say I wanted to turn that into the Franklin Institute with NFTs that are tied to classical pieces of art throughout history with information, so kids from home could learn more about different pieces of art. You know, in COVID right now, it's difficult to go out to public venues right now. If I wanted to have maybe a classroom of students, 20 students with a teacher come to a virtual room and maybe go through like historical pieces of Van Gogh along with audio. Are you seeing the scale, David? Are you seeing the scale?
Matt's got his juices flowing, bro. There's a business model.
I'm all in, brother.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
I think Matthew and David, the answer to your question has actually multiple answers to it. Can you do that right now? Like if a teacher was doing like a presentation for class, I think perhaps you're maybe asking me if you were all to go in like a VR element. You know, that hasn't been developed yet. It is something that we're working on and exploring. We do have some exhibitions coming up with some people in the space. One, Gabby Dizone of Alto. He's a pretty big collector, and he's an advisor to our team. And we're going to be doing an exhibition with him next week. And we're going to be exploring these options of how we would do that, on how we would bring multiple people to view all of this at once, and perhaps set it up even from an educational capacity, like you mentioned, like if I want to go look, you know, into a museum, how would we incorporate that? And I think the answer to that really lies on how that's going to be developed. Is it going to be just, you know, a teacher going in there and the students watching it, or would all the students be in there all at once? Also, you know, the owner of that art gallery, would they allow public access to that, right? Perhaps there might be They could want a fee for that. There's so many options on what we could do and what the actual collector can do, you know, in allowing that type of environment. So this is why we're kind of, you know, balancing, figuring what would this look like for the future? What are the answers to all these questions, and what would make sense, right? Because you know, if we put 3,000 people into a small art gallery of which we have now, that probably wouldn't make sense, right? So it might make sense for larger entities or even museum entities that want to put all of their artworks or mint all their artworks in there to make it perhaps custom, larger, or perhaps a person limit in there to not make it sloppy. So this is where we're really relying on the feedback of the community and, you know, the brainstorming internally with the team. Like, how would that look like, right? To answer that question. So it's yes and no. We don't have that right now today, as of, you know, this minute, but it's something we're absolutely working on and figuring out which direction we're going to go to develop that.
Definitely feels like NFT is just the beginning here, for sure. Like you were saying, Matt, there's so many functional possibilities, you know, and particularly now, you know, I mean, you know, a year ago things were very different, but you know, we're in a situation now where there's a demand for innovation because people are like scared about traveling. People are scared. I mean, forget scared. People can't even get together in certain places around the world, right? So
right.
You know, what's going to happen to these museums, you know, because they're being funded in most cases by, you know, private enterprise or by, you know, government, you know, public taxpayers. And so they're going to have to find some way of staying alive. And Matt was saying, you know, education is a huge part of this. You know, if you look at the children of today, they're way more visible than we ever were. You know, the kids don't have the attention span like we had, like having to sit in a classroom, look at a blackboard, right? These kids need, they need the stimulation. So I think something like this, yeah, absolutely. I mean, in what format, whether, like you were saying, whether they need some form of VR headset, and, you know, from that they can all kind of appear in a room and then have a teacher on a VR headset too, and they're basically interacting with, you know, history pieces, whether it's, you know, I was thinking when Matt came up with his idea, you know, how many times have people even been able to go and see the crown jewels, you know? I mean, all that stuff is now hidden away because of, you know, security issues and the cost and stuff. But you create that in a VR scenario and like entertain. I mean, there's just so much potential with this. I mean, it's just, I guess it's commercializing it and then managing it.
That's exactly the thing. It is how we can bridge the more traditional space into the blockchain space. I mean, even on our marketplace, we do accept credit cards too. So we're not just, you don't need to just pay us in ETH, you know, from a MetaMask perspective. But yeah, you know, we do accept credit cards. And oh no, what happened? Oh,
I love it. Have we got any questions, Matt? Because I hate to do this, but we probably do have to wrap it up. Even though
I think our production team is trying to send us a queue. Hey, in the future production team, could you please not put that banner up until we're done? I appreciate that. But yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming on, Jeff. That was a fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
And a lot of people in the chat were excited about it. If you want to know more, what's your website?
So it is terravirtua.io, TerraVirtua.io. You can just do a search for us on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter as well, at Terra_Virtua. And within the, it's in the about section right at the top of Twitter. There's actually a link to join our Discord, so I don't need to provide that link. But yeah, follow us on Twitter and jump into our Discord. We have a lot of animated personalities on the team that love to chat. So anyone that's interested in learning more, shoot us a question. There's no question too big, too small, and it's a real fun community. People talk to each other a lot there. So
we appreciate it. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. If the production team could switch over the video to the